just a symptom. Mothur Ghosh uh, shows the manners of the society. This answer is on the manners of the society as reflected in the novel. So Mothur Ghosh only reflects the what most of the men in the Bengal society, in the society back then, used to think about women. So it's about desire. So his desire was lowly, his desire was carnal or sexual. Um, he does not care about the feelings of the other person. But what is more important is that the text proves repeatedly, it gives examples as to what happens when one cannot keep one's desire in control. So Matangini suffers because she shows her desire towards Madhav. Mothur Ghosh hangs himself, Rajmohan ends up in the jail, and the unnamed Ghosh benefactor also gets a premature death. So this novel is a novel of manners as well as a precautionary tale. ये जो वर्ड प्रिकॉशनरी, ये जो फ्रेज प्रिकॉशनरी टेल है, ये बार बार आएगा सामने. और इसका मतलब है कि थ्रू द स्टोरी द ऑथर इज ट्राइंग टू tell what not to do to the audience. It's a kind of a didactic thing that if you do certain things, if you do something like this, then this will happen. So there is the author is cautioning. The author is providing a caution to the readers that if you do this, then that will happen. So that is what we see in the text. Okay, read these two paragraphs also, Tanya.
Okay, sir. Though the nature of desire is celebrated briefly, is previously shown as destructive, there is a certain inexorable movement to which even the best fall victim. No longer is virtue a matter of instincts, words alone. It is defined, is shown to be by the choices people make. Thus, the institution of marriage is shown to be vulnerable, but the cautionary nature of the narrative demonstrates the need to hold on to this rather fragile institution.
So,
Next.
yes, stop here. So, desire is something which last in the last class we were talking about how the Victorian society is hypocritical, how even in a text like Pride and Prejudice, which shows like 7 marriages, the word sexual intercourse or sex has not been used even once, like sex in the form of the act of the union has not been used even once. So there's a kind of hypocrisy in the Victorian texts. But Ram Mohan's wife, being a text in the Victorian age, though in India, not in England, but the morality in West Bengal, the morality of the class to which Bomkim Chandra Chatterjee belonged to, was very much Victorian. Yet, breaking from the mold of that Victorian restrictions होने के बावजूद भी, the author, I mean, being Bomkim Chandra Chatterjee, he is a very well known author, he breaks the mold and he talks about desire openly. However, he thinks that the reader, the audience of his novel will be very mature and they can handle things like these, like topics, discussion of topics like these. So here the manner that is shown here is that desire is inevitable, and people usually can control what they desire or how they want to get what they desire, but there is there are external features as well which lead to the choices that they make. So institution of marriage is shown to be vulnerable. That is the most important thing here, that the institution of marriage is shown to be vulnerable. That means the institution of marriage, which is now considered, or which has been considered since a long time in India to be infallible, to be sacred, is actually vulnerable, can be maligned, can be teased with, can be adjusted with. সেটা তখনকার সময় নভেলে বলাটা, it's a quite an interesting and great thing that Bomkim Chandra Chatterjee does. Okay, let's continue. Next paragraph, Tanya, continue.
Okay, sir. Associated with the idea of marriage is the idea of beauty. Beauty for Bankim is no mere ornament, it is the instrument of fertility. Beauty seems to be in the service of passion that is constantly opposed to the call of duty. Beauty in Bunkim's novel serves a more fundamental purpose. It is what, in a sense, makes the beholder helpless. It emphasizes that the understand this notion of beauty as an agent that blinds and infatuates the beholder and makes him or her trans, trans, transgress. Bunkim's characters are almost always struck by the beauty of the fairer sex.
Okay, so another thing, another manner, another idea that this novel deals with, which makes it a novel of manners, is that uh, the idea of beauty. We are all obsessed with beauty in our society, even today. We are more interested in the appearance than in the reality. We find something attractive, we find someone attractive, uh, and we are drawn to that person. We do not wait to find, we do not test to find whether that person is actually beautiful inside, or that person is just beautiful outside. The same for things as well, not just persons, not just humans, but the same can be said for various objects and things. They can be beautiful on the outside, but they can be very ugly inside. But anyway, beauty here is contrasted against the call of duty. Beauty versus duty. Now, whether Madhav will be, whether Madhav should be drawn towards Rajmohan's wife's beauty, Matangini's beauty, that is the question. Here, Madhav sticks to his duty, sticks to the path of righteousness, and does not give into his desire, or does not give into his um, idea for beauty. So, but like all the characters, or like most of the characters in Bomkim's novel, our society is also fixated on beauty, and the beauty of the fairer sex, that is the women. So that is also a kind of a manner in which we behave in our society. Okay, so that's it with this question. Let's now discuss another question. Just a minute, let me pull this up.
Sir, in the can
Hmm.
I
Yes, go on.
So, in the last second para, it is written that the institution of marriage is vulnerable, like
Hmm.
something like that
Hmm.
written.
Hmm.
So here it is mean to say that सेक्स के मतलब लाइक इस डिजायर बताया गया अच्छे से, लाइक मैरिज का अदर साइड भी बताया गया, डार्क साइड, इससे
Hmm.
रिलेटेड है ये चीज.
हाँ, मतलब हमें ऐसा लगता है कि जो इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ मैरिज है वो सेक्रेड है. मंगल सूत्र एंड everything which is shown in the movies or written in the novels is kind of true, is kind of uh, sacred, शास्त्रों में लिखा है and stuff. But in this novel we find that far from being sacred or anything, it is actually a way in which the man uh, exploits the woman or women in general. It's a it's a kind of a agreement. It's a kind of a adjustment than being something holy, than being something sacred. Okay, so that is why
Okay,
uh,
sir.
this sentence is there. That is why Bomkim, it seems to us, it seems to when we analyze the novel, we tend to think that even the institution of marriage, which is considered to be holy and sacred and all that, is questionable. It can be questioned. So that is what is being meant here.
Got it, sir.
Okay, now let's move to the next question. Uh, Narrative technique in Rajmohan's wife. Bring that up. Narrative technique in Rajmohan's wife. Let me know if every one of you has it. Okay. Zaisha, do you have the answer with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So Abhinav, start reading. Start read the first paragraph.
Narrative technique in Raj Mohan's wife. The novel, as expected, was based on Victorian narrative model. The novel depicts the trials and troubles of Matangini, a selfless and beautiful lady under the cruel hands of her husband, Raj Mohan. Though in a rough way, the novel portrays the basic skills of Bankim as a narrator and storyteller, much influenced by the narrative techniques of the Victorian narratology, especially of Dickens, Hardy and others. The primary tool of Bankim's narration is realism. At the heart of such culturalistic allegorical reading of the novel is,
Okay,
of
okay, stop.
course, Matangi.
One paragraph at a time. So,
Yes, sir.
as expected, Victorian narrative model. We have discussed this in the last class. What is Victorian? And Victorian narrative model is since you have already read about prose in your second semester, and I think we had discussed something about Victorian prose as well, because in the Victorian age, um, novel writing or novel reading was the main literary activity. नॉवल लिखना और नॉवल पढ़ना मेजर लिटरेरी एक्टिविटी था। जैसे अभी ओटीटी देखना हमारे लिए एंटरटेनमेंट का मेन ऑप्शन है। एंटरटेनमेंट हम उसी से हमें मिलता है, watching OTT. Similarly, back then in the Victorian era, the Victorian age in England, novel reading was the main source of entertainment. So, I mean, it's difficult to imagine that reading a book could be a way to entertain yourself. But back then there was no internet, there was no TV, there was no radio, nothing like that. So that was considered to be entertaining. So there was a particular narrative model that was used in the Victorian literature. The narrative model pertains to third person narrative, because there are a number of novels written in the Victorian age, published in the Victorian age, that uses the third person narrative model. Third person narrative model refers to the narration being provided by not the character, not the characters themselves, but by someone else, third person. The reader is the second person, the audience is the second person, the first person are the characters, but the third person is somebody who is just the narrator. He's not he's not the character, he's not the reader. Another form of narrative was the omniscient narrative. I think we discussed this in some class. I remember vaguely that we were talking about different kinds of narrators. So there is something called an omniscient narrator. Omniscient, like one who knows everything. Like God is omniscient. God knows everything. So omniscient narrator means a narrator who knows everything that is going to happen in the novel. So that kind of narrative is also there, and this narrative, Rajmohan's wife, also follows this kind of narrative, omniscient narrator. Okay, so that is the Victorian narrative model that is being talked about here. So we see that the novel is about Rajmohan's wife. Her name is not mentioned in the title, but it's all about Matongini's trials, her problems, whatever she goes through, and it shows it has a lot of influence from the narrative technique that I said already. Hardy, Dickens, these are the names of some of the writers of that time. Hardy is in small letters, make it in the caps. The name of the proper name should always begin with the capital letter. So Dickens, Hardy, and others. So Bonkim in his Bengali novels was very free to choose his style, but when he was writing an English novel, remember it's not a translation, it's a direct writing in English. Many people think that, oh, Rajmohan's wife is a translation. No, it is not. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee wrote this novel in English itself. It is not a translation. And hence, when he was writing in English, he was following an English model, an English examples of Charles Dickens, Thomas Hardy, and other writers like that. Okay, next paragraph, Nirjala, read.
At the heart of such a culturalist allegorical reading of the novel is, of course, Matangini, the heroine of Rajmohan's wife. We see her first in opening pages of the novel as an 18-year-old perfect flower of beauty. This carefully drawn portrait is a unique contribution of traditional and radically new radically. So, as Ganeshwar Mishra shows, it uses several elements from both classical and folk forms. For instance, the heroine is always shown with a companion who serves to highlight the former's beauty. Besides, several of the images used are taken from long standing literary conventions. But Bankim's dissatisfaction with literary conventions well was well known. It is characteristic of Sanskrit school that they
Seldom venture.
seldom venture.
Venture means to start, to go into, कुछ start करना. Hmm.
Sir, एक minute, I'm
Hmm.
lost.
Hmm.
अरे venture and original उसके बाद An original composition, the description of Matangini may be typical in certain respects, but her actions are not. She is an entirely new kind of heroine, someone who is not timid and weak, but strong and spirited. She carries the plot forward with her own kinetic energy. And though, सर ये क्या लिखा हुआ है?
And though
Though THWARTED.
uh, thwarted. Thwarted means
Thwarted.
रोक देना.
Okay. Does not end up entirely defeated. Matangini
Entirely defeated.
is
Okay.
Rajmohan's wife, but
Okay,
the
okay,
spirit
stop.
or personification
Stop.
of Mon.
Stop. One paragraph at a time. तो यहाँ पे ये बोला जा रहा है कि कल्चर, ये एक बड़ा वर्ड है कल्चरलिस्ट एलेगोरिकल. पहली बात तो एलेगरी का मतलब होता है कि एक स्टोरी के अंदर और एक स्टोरी बोलना. डिड वी डू लाइक फिगर्स ऑफ स्पीच? हमने फिगर्स ऑफ स्पीच सीखा है क्या? मतलब लाइक इन एनी सेमेस्टर, सेकेंड और थर्ड, आई डोंट रिमेंबर डूइंग फिगर्स ऑफ स्पीच. बट allegory is a figure of speech, and allegory का मतलब होता है कि एक स्टोरी को बोलते बोलते या फिर एक स्टोरी को बोलने के थ्रू और एक स्टोरी को मीन करना. जैसे a fictional story, I mean a story is usually fictional, but the movie like Three Idiots, वहाँ पे एक कहानी बोला जा रहा है, लेकिन उसके अंदर में हमारे समाज में, हमारे एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस में, स्पेशली इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस वगैरह में जो चल रहा होता है, जिस तरीके का मेंटल प्रेशर होता है, हम आए दिन ही सुनते हैं कि इंजीनियरिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स में लोगों ने आत्महत्या कर लिया, बच्चों ने आत्महत्या कर लिया. Why do they do that? Because there is so much pressure on them. And the same kind of thing was shown in Three Idiots, or the novel from which Three Idiots was inspired was 5 Point Someone by Chetan Bhagat.
So, sir, the other story will be shown as an example, or it will be like simultaneously discussed?
I mean, the other story that is actually being told will not be named, not even used as an example. But we will, when as audience, whenever we will see the whenever we will read or see the text, we will instantly recognize that what the real story is. Let me try to give another example.
like this in this story, there are two parts discussed in like starting in present and then past discussed. So that is you want to say
Which
like it's
story?
a दोनों time का discussion. In this story only, in this novel only, like past has
Uh,
also been discussed that past में ये चीजें हुई then to relate करना present.
what kind of past is presented here?
Like regarding with that that plot वो agreement paper वो discuss किया गया था ना
कौन
उसके
सा
लिए भी
एग्रीमेंट
हुआ था.
पेपर? I don't clearly remember the entire text, so I might be missing out on some.
Yeah, there was a paper because of that only the whole fight is going on.
What paper?
Agreement paper. Mathur, Mathur or Madhur, someone has that paper जिसको लेके ये सब कुछ हुआ था. That I have read that book so in
So
that
it's
book
a.
first.
If you're talking about like a deed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So no, the deed itself is nothing. The deed itself has nothing to do with the allegory. Allegory is a is a is a literary device or a figure of speech where one story is told and something else is meant. जहाँ पे एक स्टोरी को बोला जा रहा है और दूसरा स्टोरी को मीन किया जा रहा है, जहाँ पे दोनों स्टोरीज में कोई ना कोई सिमिलैरिटी हो. ठीक है, तो the paper that you're talking about or the deed that you're talking about is not really a part of the allegory. वो allegory का part नहीं है. allegory ये है कि जो story बोमकिम चंद्र बोल रहे हैं, it's an allegory of the things that are happening in the society. Though the story is fictional, but whatever is happening is actually happening in the larger society. Okay, so that is what is that is what makes the story an allegory. एक कहानी बोला जा रहा है, वो सच नहीं है, वो फिक्शनल है, लेकिन उसके बैकग्राउंड में जो एक्चुअल स्टोरी है, एक्चुअल जो चीज़ें हो रही हैं, उसके बारे में बताया जा रहा है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, you now understand, you are now reading about this dowry deaths. Women are being tortured and killed for dowry, right? So
Yes, sir.
so you have, all of you may have seen this movie called Lapata Ladies. If you have not watched the movie, do watch it. It's a good movie about our society, but it's not a real thing. Like, those things did not really happen, whatever is shown in Lapata Ladies, but it it talks about whatever is actually happening in our society. For example, अगर तुम सभी ने देखा है तभी इस बात को समझ पाओगे, अदरवाइज यू वोंट बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड. एंड आई कैन नॉट फिगर आउट anything common right now that all of you must have seen or all of you must have known. Okay, fine, let me bring up something that might be relatable to all of you. This Cockroach Janata Party. Who are these cockroaches? Who are the cockroach? I mean, what does the cockroach signify? It signifies the young people, unemployed people. I mean, the Cockroach Janata Party is now under scrutiny because it seems that it does not really care about the young people or the old people of India. It's just against another political party. So that's what happens every time in our country whenever there is a protest against something, some political party or some external power tries to hijack it and use it for its own gain, and that is called politics. But cockroach means the unemployed youth as referred to by the Chief Justice of India. Though later he said that the media misquoted him and he did not mean that the unemployed people in India are cockroaches or are like cockroaches. But initially it seemed so that he said that. Anyway, so cockroach जो सिंबल है, कॉकरोच जनता पार्टी का जो जो सिंबल है वो एक एलेगरी है, वो एक कहानी है, एक नैरेटिव है जिसके अंडर में कुछ और ही मतलब है उस कॉकरोच का. इन दिस केस कॉकरोच मीन्स द अनएम्प्लॉयड यूथ एंड इट हैज़ टू बी वेरी कंटेक्चुअल. मतलब एलेगरी नीड्स टू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ कंटेक्स्ट. कोई भी किसी चीज़ का एलेगरी नहीं बन सकता है अनलेस एंड अदरवाइज देयर इज़ अ काइंड ऑफ अ कनेक्शन और सिमिलैरिटी बिटवीन द टू सिचुएशंस. या फिर हम ये भी कह सकते हैं कि जो चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया ने अनएम्प्लॉयड यूथ को कॉकरोच क्यों बोला, व्हाट इज़ द सिमिलैरिटी बिटवीन अ कॉकरोच एंड द अनएम्प्लॉयड पीपल इन इंडिया? Can you say what is the similarity, if there is any similarity?
कॉकरोच का पॉपुलेशन इंक्रीज होते जा रहा है, वैसे अनएम्प्लॉयड पीपल.
Can you be a little louder, Tania? Your voice seems to be a little less
It's
loud.
not like how the population is increasing. कॉकरोच का जैसे population day by day increase होते जाता है, I guess वैसे ही unemployed people का भी वैसे ही increase हो रहा है.
Okay, so like cockroaches, the number of the unemployed people are increasing. Okay, anything else? और कोई रीज़न है जिस वजह से हमारे अनएम्प्लॉयड यूथ को कॉकरोच कह सकते हैं? दोनों डर्ट में रहते हैं. ओके, दैट्स अ गुड पॉइंट. यस, दोनों को ही प्रॉब्लम समझा जाता है. we think that these unemployed youth create problem. Okay, so that is the logic, or that is the idea behind an allegory कि सिमिलैरिटी है दोनों चीज़ों में, इसीलिए शायद हमारे यूथ को कॉकरोच कहा गया है. सो ये बताने के लिए, मतलब इन ऑर्डर टू टॉक अबाउट दिस एलेगरी. सो एलेगरी यहाँ पर भी ये है कि एक स्टोरी बताया जा रहा है. बंकिम चंद्र चटर्जी इज टॉकिंग अबाउट मातंगिनी एंड हर प्रॉब्लम्स, but this problem is not of the fictional character Matangini alone. This problem is of the most of the women during that time. So that is why it's allegorical. Culturalist because it's based in our culture, it's rooted in our culture. ये पूरी तरीके से हमारे कल्चर के बारे में है, जो कि हमने थीम ऑफ मैरिज या नॉवेल ऑफ मैनर्स में भी हमने पढ़ा कि कल्चर में ऐसा होता है, कल्चर में वैसा होता है, इन सब चीज़ों के बारे में बात किया गया है. ओके, सो ज्ञानेश्वर मिश्रा इज़ just a minute. So Gyaneshwar Mishra is a critic, and he talks about, he shows, he comments that क्लासिकल एंड फोक फॉर्म, मतलब इस नैरेटिव में इस स्टोरी को क्लासिकल और फोक दोनों तरफ से, दोनों स्टाइल से लिखा गया है. फोक मीन्स ऑफ द कॉमन पीपल, फोक सॉन्ग जैसे होते हैं, और क्लासिकल मतलब जो शास्त्रीय होता है, जो एलीट का होता है. इसमें दोनों फॉर्म है इस नैरेटिव में. एग्जाम्पल क्या है? हीरोइन इज़ ऑलवेज शोन विद अ कंपेनियन. जैसे अगर CBCS में पहले, आई डोंट नो अबाउट कैलकाटा यूनिवर्सिटी, बट CBCS में जब CBCS था सिस्टम, तो किसी किसी यूनिवर्सिटी में, जैसे बर्धमान यूनिवर्सिटी में एक टेक्स्ट पढ़ाया जाता था, अभिज्ञानम शकुंतलम. It was a Sanskrit text, and there we found the form of classical narration. वहाँ पे भी हमने देखा था कि ऐसे जैसे राजमोहन की वाइफ के साथ, मातंगिनी के साथ हमेशा कोई ना कोई फीमेल कंपेनियन रहती है, वैसे ही शकुंतला के साथ भी उसकी फीमेल कंपेनियन, दो कंपेनियंस थे उसके, अनुसुईया और प्रियंवदा, दो कंपेनियंस थे जो उसके साथ हमेशा रहते थे. और ये कंपेनियन सिर्फ इसलिए रहते थे ताकि जो मेन हीरोइन है उसका ब्यूटी एनहेंस्ड हो. We can find this in the early movies, or I mean early in the sense like 90s or 2000s movies, where the lady, where the heroine would always have a like a group of girls who walk with her, or who is always to be found with them, so that the beauty of the heroine becomes prominent. दूसरे कम सुंदर हीरोइनों को रखा जाता था, दूसरे कम सुंदर एक्टर्स को रखा जाता था, ताकि जो मेन हीरोइन है उसका सौंदर्य, उसकी ब्यूटी सबके सामने आए. सो दैट इज़ अ कन्वेंशन. बट हमें ये भी पता है कि बोमकिन वॉज नेवर सेटिस्फाइड विथ लिटरेरी कन्वेंशंस. उनको लिटरेरी कन्वेंशंस पसंद नहीं थे. और it's a fact that Sanskrit school, I mean the classical school was Sanskrit school of narration, of writing, will not do something original. अगर संस्कृत के टेक्स्ट देखो तो ऐसा पता चलेगा कि वहाँ पे ओरिजिनल कुछ नहीं है. मतलब किसी न किसी प्राइमरी टेक्स्ट के ऊपर बेस्ड है. जैसे मैंने कहा कि अभिजानम शकुंतलम is a well-known text in well-known Sanskrit text, but the main story is to be found in Mahabharata. So there is nothing original. The story-wise, the Indian writers, the Sanskrit writers, the ancient Sanskrit writers will always take something that already exists and then refine it. Okay? तो ओरिजिनल कंपोजिशन का जो प्रथा है, जो रीति है, जो ट्रेंड है, वो इंडियन राइटिंग इन इंग्लिश में भी नहीं था पहले. तो उस हिसाब से देखा जाए तो द डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ मातंगिनी माइट बी टिपिकल, बट हर actions are not. मातंगिनी का जैसा डिस्क्रिप्शन किया गया है वहाँ पे हम लोग देख सकते हैं कि वो कोई टिपिकल वुमन का डिस्क्रिप्शन है. सुंदर है, बड़ी बड़ी आँखें हैं, लंबे बाल हैं और साड़ी पहनी है और हाइट ज़्यादा नहीं है वगैरह वगैरह, ऐसी चीज़ें जो टिपिकली किसी हीरोइन को डिस्क्राइब करती हैं, वही चीज़ें मातंगिनी को भी डिस्क्राइब करने के लिए इस्तेमाल की गई हैं. But her actions are not. She is an entirely new kind of heroine, someone who is not timid and weak but strong and spirited. She carries the plot forward with her own kinetic energy and though thwarted means उसको रोक लिया गया था, but she was not entirely defeated. So this is something new in the narrative. The narrative technique might be, I mean there cannot be many variations of a narrative technique. मतलब ज़्यादा वेरिएशंस नहीं हो सकते हैं नैरेटिव टेक्निक के, लेकिन उस नैरेटिव टेक्निक में किस तरीके से प्रेजेंटेशन किया गया है वो वैरिड हो सकता है और हुआ भी है. बोमकिम चंद्र इज यूजिंग अ वेरी डिफरेंट वे ऑफ प्रेजेंटिंग द ओल्ड वे ऑफ नरेशन. वो बहुत अलग तरीके से मातंगिनी के एक्शंस को प्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं और ये जो नया तरीका है यही हमारा इम्पोर्टेंस है. यही हम बोलेंगे अपने आंसर में कि देयर इज़ समथिंग नॉवेल और देयर इज़ समथिंग न्यू इन द वे इन विच दिस narrative is presented. Okay, all right, next paragraph. Zaisha पढ़ो.
Matangini contained is not just Rajmohan's wife, but the spirit or personifications of modern India itself. This is an immigrant, hesitant, yet strong-willed and attractive India. It is not the India of villages or the old Indian of feudal time. This India was being born near the capital of Calcutta, and it is full of new possibilities. But this beautiful and powerful drawing image of India is also shown as burdened by sorrow and anxiety.
Sorrow.
It, sorrow and anxiety. It is neither free nor happy, but it engages and power are under the control of an unworthy
Unworthy.
unworthy husband. No wonder the very first chapter begins with temptations and transitions. Matangini, who has been for forbidden from going to fetch water from the river, is
Fetch
ये
water.
कैसे?
Fetch water is cajoled. Cajoled means to pursue. समझाना.
क्या क्या बोले सर? कैजुअल में
Cajoled means समझाना, to pursue. किसी को पटा लेना, किसी को ब्रेन वॉश नहीं कह सकते हैं. दिस इज लाइक सम to make somebody do something by constantly saying that let's do it or this has to be done for this purpose. ऐसे मतलब किसी को समझाना किसी चीज़ को करने के लिए.
casual by Kanik. Into doing so, Matangini thus crosses the क्या बोलेंगे सर इसको? Their
Threshold. Threshold मतलब चौखट.
Threshold.
Yes, threshold.
Okay.
Threshold means चौखट.
Threshold
thereby exposing herself to Madhav, her brother-in-law, and setting the plot in motion. What ये क्या है? माला Shri Lal called the law of the threshold thus seems to operate in the very first Indian English novels. Once Matangini was stepped over the bar, she can never return to her de- uh, de- destination.
Designated.
Designated first world, but much make the irritable choice of making the other world her permanent home. The defining features of modern India are thus its energy, its
Adventurousness.
adventurousness, its unwillingness to be confined by traditions, and its desire to break free. The real
The restlessness.
the restlessness, fertility, charms, and drive of an imaging society are thus embodied in the Matangini.
Embodied
Uh,
in Matangini. Okay, stop.
the next chapter.
Stop. So, uh, Matangini is the representative of the new India itself. तब के ज़माने में स्पेशली बंगाल ये कहा जाता था कि व्हाट बंगाल थिंक्स टुडे द वर्ल्ड थिंक्स टुमारो. हालांकि अभी उल्टा हो गया है. बट तब के ज़माने में बंगाल में एक रेनेसा हुआ था. जैसे एलिजाबेथन एज वाज द रिजल्ट ऑफ अ रेनेसा इन यूरोप. बंगाल में भी एक रेनेसा जैसा हुआ था. Development of learning, science, technology, all of these things developed a lot, and during this time only, when Bankim Chandra was writing. And India was considered to be emergent, नया नया तैयार हो रहा था, हेजिटेंट, लेकिन हेजिटेट करते थे लोग, लेकिन फिर भी विल स्ट्रॉन्ग था उनका. वो काफ़ी डिज़ायर था उनका कुछ करने का. मातंगिनी का भी वैसा ही था. तो फ्यूडल वर्ल्ड को दिखाया जा रहा है राजमोहन वाइफ में. विलेज वर्ल्ड को दिखाया जा रहा है और नए पॉसिबिलिटीज़ के तरफ इंडिकेट किया जा रहा है कि न्यू पॉसिबिलिटीज़ माइट कम इन. सो इंडिया विच वॉज बर्डनड बाई सॉरो एंड एंगजाइटी, विच वॉज नॉट फ्री और हैप्पी, but it was trying to do something different. Just like Matangini was controlled by an unworthy husband, India was controlled by an unworthy Britishers who wanted just to exploit them. I mean, Rajmohan wanted to exploit Matangini, the Britishers wanted to exploit India. मातंगिनी क्या करती है, कनक के समझाने पर, कैजोलिंग पर, वो पानी भरने नदी में चली जाती है और वो अपने चौखट को लांग देती है. उसी तरीके से स्वामी विवेकानंद, राजा राम मोहन रॉय, ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर और many other people like that, they made the people of India believe that they can also attain freedom from the Britishers. जिस तरीके से मातंगिनी transgresses, falls in love with Madhav, confesses it, runs away from the house, India was also trying to do something like that. which को मालर्षि लाल एक क्रिटिक हैं जो इस थियरी को, इस चीज़ को थियराइज कर रहे हैं कि द लॉ ऑफ द थ्रेशोल्ड, कि एक बार ये एक ही थ्रेशोल्ड इंडियन नॉवल राइटिंग में भी था. ये पहला इंडियन इंग्लिश नॉवल है. ये भी एक चौखट को लांग रहा है. इसके पहले किसी ने इंग्लिश नॉवल नहीं लिखा था. सो देर आर सो मेनी थिंग्स हैपनिंग ऑल एट द सेम टाइम. Matongini, India, the genre of novel writing in India, all of these things are going from one point to another. So एक बार जब मातंगिनी ने ओवरस्टेप कर दिया, एक बार जब मातंगिनी निकल गई, चौखट लांग के चली गई, then there was no place for her to come back and she had to adapt to the outside world just like India had to. So these are the things that are shown in the narrative. Okay, let us stop here today with this paragraph. We will continue it on Tuesday. There will be no classes on Monday. Okay, any questions, doubts? Okay, if you do not have any questions or doubts, you may leave the meeting.